For those of you who haven't heard, Z4kr and Mercury, two Chinese players, have just come under serious allegations on Twitter. Now in Z4kr's case, there is more damning allegations from people who know him, but with Mercury it's a little bit more muddy and the allegations aren't entirely proven whatsoever. So it appears this information has been sourced from Z4kr's ex-girlfriend's TikTok, where she posted an expose about him involving all of the misconduct he's been getting up to and some things worse than that. I would like to reiterate before we get into this that these are just allegations in the cases of both of these players. So the allegations begin last December, where Z4kr allegedly dated a fan, promised to make her his mistress, and allegedly offered her up to $7,000 converted from Chinese currency just to keep her silent. It's then stated that she fell into a depression and went public, and this was all while Z4kr had a public girlfriend in all media appearances. It is terrible to see how much money that young people can come into, and especially in this case when they abuse this power that they have. Then the allegations continue to early January, where it's alleged that Z4kr dated a streamer for 2 months and offered to pay her to fly her out to the major and financially support her, all while still dating his public girlfriend. Then to continue the misconduct, it was alleged that at the Austin Major 2025 he allegedly hired a prostitute and contracted an STD which he then spread to his girlfriend and who knows how many other girls. For a not so fun fact, I did look up the name of the STD, which is trichomoniasis, just in case it was a name that I didn't recognize, but I did think it was funny that on Google one of the ways of not contracting it recommended is to not have sex, and you would think that most of the Counter-Strike players would not have many issues with this. But on a more serious note, it was also alleged that Z4kr was using quote-unquote massage parlors for sex, essentially engaging in more prostitution, probably on a more regular basis. And then one of the more insane things from this post is the report that Z4kr allegedly had 4,000 plus pictures in his camera roll of different women that he would use to blackmail them and extort them. And it is just absolutely disgusting that players, especially in communities like the Chinese community, which have very enthusiastic fan bases, would abuse their power to this extent. I mean, this is theoretically ruining the lives of apparently thousands of people that we don't know. At the time of recording this, we currently have no more information about it. There have been rumors circulating that Lin Vision, the team he is currently signed for, will be removing him from the roster. But then another person claiming that they have insider knowledge on Lin Vision are stating that the CEO of Lin Vision said that there is not really a problem here and they won't be removing him, which I think is completely insane because we don't really get many controversies like this in Counter-Strike, thankfully, but when we do, there seems to be a pretty decent way of handling things. I mean, if you think back to the Maniac stuff that was going on, where he was harassing multiple women and there was proof and he admitted to it, and thankfully all team organizers and tournament organizers have cut ties with him completely. He's essentially been removed from the scene, which is all we can hope for when it comes to Z4kr. And I also want to briefly touch on the Mercury case, a player for Tyloo, even though that these allegations have had more mystery around them. Some people are saying for sure that parts of this are not true, some people are saying that none of it is true, but essentially somebody claimed that news has been going viral on Chinese CS forums. This person claims that Mercury was dating 3 women at the same time and alleging that one of them was under 18. It is incredibly important with Mercury's allegations in particular, though, that people have been saying that the claim that he has been dating or grooming an underage girl has been completely debunked, although there's no evidence to this or the contrary, but apparently that isn't reliable information, and that is likely the worst allegation on this list, so maybe I think there needs to be more proof before anybody makes any decisions. A false allegation like this can absolutely easily destroy people's lives, and this guy is, 24 years old. He doesn't entirely deserve to have this take down his career if it's not true, but if it is true, then this post then claims that one of the girls actually ended up getting pregnant, and Mercury encouraged the girl to terminate the pregnancy and refused to accompany her for this. And apparently this was the event that caused the woman to speak out, and apparently all 3 women are stating that they have been deceived by this player. And I think this is especially terrible for the scene because at this time, Asian CS and Chinese CS has been making somewhat of a return after being stagnant and practically non-existent for so many years. What with Tyloo winning a pretty big tournament not too long ago as well, and we've been seeing teams such as Lin Vision and Tyloo perform quite well at LANs recently, so it's just terrible that players like this, if these allegations are true, are dragging a struggling region further back after they've worked for decades to try and make a name for themselves. But we know that some organizations do not necessarily respond as you'd expect in the face of some allegations. I mean, when it first came out that Jakem had been scamming players players for years and was suffering from a crippling gambling addiction. Kassad even claimed once that Jacob had owed 300 grand to players, something which Kassad was trying to help to pay back. Kassad also leaked Jacob's passport photo in this statement apparently, but some of you might remember that the team that Jacob was playing for, BC Game, which Simple is now actually signed for, is essentially a shady gambling organization. They don't even have real facilities, and all of their funding is essentially probably coming from scamming likely underage kids. And for them to have a gambling addict on their Counter-Strike roster, it was strangely ironic. And at first they didn't even remove him from the roster. They instead claimed that they will be working closely with him to try and help resolve the situation, and they even at first claimed that they would be helping maybe financially pay back some of these loans. But then all of that kind of went completely quiet, and they benched him from the roster kind of without much word after it. So we just kind of have to hope that something like this doesn't happen with Lin Vision and Tai Lu, and they get to the bottom of what is actually going on. But before we see police reports, even though it's in China, so it's very unlikely that we see these, it's not really clear. Hopefully we're going to get some form of proof, but the Counter-Strike community shouldn't be a place for this kind of conduct. At the time of recording, no statements has come out from these players, and people are just kind of talking about it back and forth on Twitter without really coming to much of a conclusion. Z4kr is also a level 5 player on Faceit. Maybe we should have seen this coming. And one other disturbing thing I saw is Z4kr's sticker prices have been skyrocketing since this incident. And that is kind of one of the darker sides of the CS scene. People tend to monetize shit, even though I'm kind of monetizing shit like this. But all in all, I kind of put this together because nobody has talked about this in terms of big names in the scene or anybody really with influence, and I think it deserves a bit more traction. But I think that's all we have at the moment until more information comes out. I guess there's nothing we can really do but wait and see. Am I still allowed to ask you to like the video when I'm talking about a serious topic? Give it a go.